Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody.
Is
Welcome
it
to.
is it Monday?
I think it is. It feels like a Monday. It feels an awful lot like a Monday.
Does it?
Hold on. Let me switch my headphones. Dang it. See, Monday's already got me. I forgot to put my
Lord.
good set
Good morning. Welcome in, friends. Good morning, Lisa. Hey, Dizzy. Who else is in here? So Joy's in here. Sinead. Trace on the case. How are you? Welcome in, Forrest. I'm welcoming in everybody while you get your stuff together there. Hey, Jeff. Long time no see, Jeff.
Right?
We were all in another live a little while ago, so
Yeah.
in the chat, so
Nice.
having a good old time, I might add. I was anyway.
Oh, it's too early for me to have a good time.
Look, Sinead says you should be pepper or salt and pepper. That was good, actually.
Oh, speaking of salt and pepper, so yesterday I was craving subs like Jimmy John's, Subway, like all the other chains that are out there. And you go online to order one and it's like $25. I'm like, what?
Get out of town.
No.
Just for like with delivery and all included, or just for the sandwich itself?
No, that's for delivery and everything included, but still just for like one sandwich. So I ordered all of the groceries to make my own. And I'll be damned if that wasn't better than anything I could have got.
Oh, I know.
Those restaurants.
That's one of my 18-year-old me. That's one of our favorite things is homemade subs, right?
Yeah,
and they are so good.
Sliced turkey, sliced ham, sliced salami, shredded lettuce, oil and vinegar.
Oh, you're making me want one right now, dude. That's exactly how I would eat mine. Like for real. That sounds so good right now.
Yeah. It was good. And I'm going to have another one for lunch, I do believe, when we get there.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I might just portal on over and have some lunch with you.
No, Lori's portal will take you over to the Maricopa County Jail. Do you want to go there?
I don't open portals like she does. I'm safe. We different.
Oh, dang.
Bobo at Subway. 2 foot longs for $10 this weekend. Really? Because I got one down. Oh, okay. Now, I wonder if that's eligible in my part of the town here. I'm like Joe, though. I might just make my own. I don't feel like driving down there just to get a sub. I'll just get the groceries and do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I like, though? I like Firehouse subs. A Subway's good. And that is my son and I's favorite place, but I also like a good Firehouse sub. Do you guys have Firehouse subs where you're at?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually. I've never had a Firehouse sub, so
maybe I'm gonna have
to check that out.
Yeah. Yep. Check it out. It's good.
I did wake up a little salty just because salty. I've got a beef.
Welcome to my world.
I've got a beef with an NBA player, and I know you're not a sports fan, and you're not going to follow anything that I say, and that's fine. You just got to come along. No, you got to come along for the ride.
That's fine. What NBA player are we talking about? I'm not totally oblivious to stuff.
We're talking about Draymond Green.
I'm more apt to watch a basketball game than I am a football game, but
I'll show you who we're talking about. Let me show you right up here.
Here Get down, cat.
So Draymond Green is 6'6", 230. So he plays power forward in the NBA, and he's actually undersized for playing power forward. And I get that because when I used to play in the rec leagues, I'm 6'2", and I would get stuck guarding guys that were like 6'6", 6'7", because I kind of played power forward. Yeah. So he's been in the league for like 12, 13 years. He went to Michigan State. He averages certain things. I think he might have been an all-star for a year or two with Golden State. He's been with Golden State his entire career, and he's won championships with them. But this thing has developed between him and my boy Zach Edey from Purdue. Zach Edey. Let me show you Zach Edey. And I know this is going to bore some of you, but it's my channel, so I'm going to air out my beef. I'm going to get salty with Draymond Green. Zach Edey is one of the best, if not the best, or most decorated players in Purdue basketball history. He won back-to-back National Player of the Year, which hasn't been done since Ralph Sampson in the early 80s. So, and he took us to the Final Four last year, which hasn't been done also since the early 80s when Joe Barry Carroll was the star at Purdue. So me and my brothers went. We went to Phoenix. We went to the Final Four. We bought tickets in the south end zone, if you will, because State Farm Stadium is actually a football stadium. That's not a basketball arena. So they put like 70,000 people in there instead of like 15,000 people in there. There's me and my brothers and my son at the Final Four. It was an awesome experience for the most part. There's the win after we beat NC State in the semifinal before we got beat by UConn in the final. But as you can see from these seats, you can barely see the court. Like the court is like you need binoculars to see the court. And literally, if they didn't have that big screen up on top showing the game, we would not have been able to follow the game from our seats. And we paid good money for those seats. Like we paid 4 figures for those seats. That's just what they went for. And it's our team. We haven't been there in a while, so we're going to pay it and we're going to go. But NCAA, if you're listening, football stadiums are one of the crappiest places to host a Final Four, to host a tournament, a basketball tournament of any kind. That's just stupid. It's ridiculous. It's just a money grab. But that's what the NCAA has been about for decades. So no surprise. No surprise at all. But there has been this thing. So Zach Edey was selected 9th overall in the NBA draft by the Memphis Grizzlies, which was higher than most. Oh, see, I've got my cursor out here now, and you're going to see in a minute why I've got that big red cursor, because the Memphis Grizzlies selected him 9th overall in the NBA draft. And what was that, late June, early July, whatever it was, which was higher than some people predicted. Some people said he would slip to the late first round, maybe even the second round. Memphis Grizzlies took him 9th overall. Memphis Grizzlies are a good up-and-coming team. They have John Morant, who's an all-star. They have Jarius Jackson Jr., who is also an all-star, was drafted in 2018, like 4th overall. But Memphis Grizzlies are in the Western Conference. The Golden State Warriors, where Draymond Green plays and has played for his entire career, are also in the Western Conference. So they play like once a month. So let's see if we can find the very first. Okay, yeah, here we go. I think this is my playlist. Let's go back to the very first one on that playlist. This is in November. I think this is the very first game that the Grizzlies play the Warriors. They play like once or twice a month. So this is the very first game. So here's Zach Edey. He's the big dude. He's 7'4", 300 pounds, and he's playing under the basket because that's where he plays. That's where a 7'4" dude, 300 pounds. So 9th overall in last year's draft, the 2024 draft. He would have been 1st overall like 20 years ago. Absolutely. Winning back-to-back Players of the Year. But the NBA doesn't play a low-post game now. So anyway, he's down there. Draymond Green is number 23 for the Warriors. Let's watch this play out. So Green is out top trying to drive to the basket. He loses control. He loses the ball. Zach Edey picks up the ball right here, and Draymond Green is down at his ankles. Watch what Draymond Green does. It's called for a foul.
Are we supposed to be seeing something?
You're not seeing something?
No, I see me and you.
Son of a nutmeg. How is that not playing?
Son of a nutmeg. Did you share your screen like I forget to do sometimes?
I swear I did. I swear I did. Are we there now?
Nope. Nobody
It's
in
not
chat can see it
playing.
either.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're all being honest.
No. StreamYard, what are you doing to me?
Oh, dude, I haven't. Yeah, I've been doing on Restream so much. The last time I tried StreamYard, I was like, I confused myself, so I went back to Restream.
This is crazy. Remember how we couldn't hear the audio?
Yeah.
Last time, and now we can't even see the video?
Maybe you should test out Restream.
All right, I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to try and open it up again because I have it on a playlist.
Right, Dizzy, StreamYard. I've heard, some stuff, and I've had a few minor issues on it, but I've been testing out that Restream platform, and I'm kind of like stuck on it right now. Do you want a refund for your coffee, Brightwell? What's the matter? Was it no good? I've done had too much coffee this morning, but I'm still drinking it. Like, I think this is my last cup for the day, though. For the morning.
All right, present, share screen. Draymond Green trips Zach Edey. That's not coming up. What the heck is going on? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop out of StreamYard, and I'm going to come right back. Can you hold things down while I drop out and come back?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
All
Dizzy, Restream is what I've been using for a while now. My last got at least a month or more, and I'm okay with it right now. I'm not having any issues. It offers a lot of different things that and it's like it's unlimited streaming too, where you got to pay StreamYard to do unlimited streaming, and that part I like because I don't have the StreamYard really jumped up their pricing, and I'm not down with that. I don't, have money to go throw away on stuff like that. Today is my birthday, so my sister got me Dunkin'. Well, good. Happy birthday, Lindsay, you guys. It's Lindsay's birthday. She got her some coffee from her sister. I believe you can dual stream, Dizzy, because it does give me the option to do that when I log in, but Joe and I haven't done any of that yet. So I haven't tested it. So yeah, I'd like to test that though. Dunkin' Coffee. I've only had their coffee once or twice, but when I was doing DoorDash, people loved it. I was always going there picking up stuff, and I'd be like, man, this stuff sounds really good. I got to come in and try it, and never did. Yep. Shout out. Happy birthday, Lindsay. I hope you have a great day, hun. Yeah, I don't really celebrate mine anymore either, but the coffee's always welcome, right? Right? It's just another day. But it's always good to wake up another year and have another trip around the sun, right? It's always a blessing. So I wonder if Joe can get it all straightened out for us and we can watch his NBA stuff. I don't know where he's going with it, but I'm interested now. Did the guy do something criminal or just some crazy stuff on the basketball court? Doing some tricks. Every day is a gift. Exactly, Forrest. You are so spot on with that. If I could pin that comment right now, I would, but it's Joe's. I have no control.
There it is.
What you laughing about? There you go. Pin it, Joe. Pin it.
Yeah, I had to close out every single browser window that I had open. And I had like 20 of them open.
I never have all that open when I'm streaming. I don't. Yeah, I don't. So I try to close out all the stuff that may distract me. I'll get distracted so easily sometimes.
All right, we're going to try this playlist again with this stupid Draymond Green bull crap. I'm trying not to cuss, but I'm going to in a minute.
Why are you trying not to? Oh, well, never mind.
All right, does that come up?
Haven't seen anything yet. But there we go. There we go, Joe.
What's up? Shit. Yes, finally. Dang.
Yep.
Why was that so hard? StreamYard, answer me. Why was that so hard?
You're like, welcome to Monday, Joe Schmoe.
Yep. You're not kidding. All right. So Draymond Green is the dude with the ball at the top of the key. He feels like he was fouled because he fell down. And when you fall down and you're a professional athlete, you feel embarrassed. He fell down. He lost the ball. Zach Edey got the ball. Zach Edey's under the basket. He's down here. That's the rookie from Purdue, picked 9th overall in the draft. And watch what Draymond does.
Make that hit that bigger box right down there in the right-hand corner, all the way over to the right. Nope, right there. Click that. There we go.
All right. So Draymond
for the
Green,
blind people in the back.
So Draymond Green fell down. He's down on the ground. Zach Edey picked up the ball, threw it ahead to his teammate. And this is what Draymond Green does. So he's like a 12-year NBA veteran, multiple NBA championships with Golden State.
Discussing it.
He wasn't fouled. He lost his balance and fell down, but now he's all embarrassed, and now there's a rookie with the ball that picks it up. What's he going to do?
Goes the other way.
So Zach Edey was injured on that. His ankle was injured, and he sat out for, I think, a couple of weeks or more, and he still has been back at full strength since. But he was starting for the Grizzlies at the time, and he was putting up stats that might be considered rookie of the year level stats. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on if he got better and increased over time. But he's definitely not going to be NBA rookie of the year now because he sat out for a couple of weeks from this. And then he had a concussion protocol that he had to go into. But Draymond Green, I'm just going to say it now. He's a punk ass bitch. And he can come on here and he can tell me how he's not.
Oh, Lord, Joe cussed.
Yes, I did.
Why did you Wait. Okay, maybe if we finish watching it, I'll get where you're at with it.
You didn't see where he grabbed his ankle?
Oh, I saw that. I was watching that, but then you froze it. And I want to see the whole context of it for a minute.
Okay. Do we need to back up?
I did notice that. I was like, did he grab that was it on purpose, or was that like he just
Absolutely it was.
Did the leg just get stuck in there? It looked like it was on purpose to me. But I'm evaluating the video, Joe.
Okay. Well, the history of Draymond Green, he comes from Michigan State. And actually there's an all-star, Jarius Jackson Jr. on Memphis's team that came from Michigan State, but their time didn't overlap. So they weren't like teammates or anything. But look at that right there. You see that?
Yeah.
He has been ejected. He has been ejected from 22 games in his career.
Damn. So why they keep letting him back in if they know he's can pull stuff like this? Come on.
Right. A little bit here. Fast forward. So there's a flagrant foul called here, or somebody gets ejected. And Steve Kerr, he's the guy right in the middle here. He's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. He has won 4 NBA championships. So he's no slouch. He played with Michael Jackson. Gosh darn it. Mondays. Case of the Mondays. He played with Michael Jordan in Chicago. He hit the game-winning shot in 1997 in Game 6 of the NBA Finals to win the championship for Chicago. Michael Jordan trusted him with that shot. So he was a very good player, but he's also very competitive. That wasn't on Steve Kerr. It was Draymond Green. You see him slapping hands with Draymond Green? Come on, Steve Kerr. He's generally very classy, but his coddling of Draymond Green drives me nuts.
Does any of this surprise you? Really, it's a legit for people who are into all these high dollar sports. Does any of that really surprise you?
No.
That the way the coach is acting, the way the player acted, And we got a bunch of adults in this country who don't know how to act. So does this surprise you? That's one of my, because I don't watch this stuff regularly, but.
No, it just pisses me off. So I'm going to rant.
Oh, I
I'm
understand
going to
that.
call Draymond Green out. He has been ejected the second most time in NBA history. Rasheed Wallace is number one.
But then you got to ask, why does the NBA continue to allow him to come back?
Yeah.
So we should be kind of pissed at the NBA as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they originally called this just a regular foul. They just called a foul on him. After the game, they upgraded it to a quote unquote flagrant foul. But is that enough? No. Yes.
Yeah, that's something we all say constantly. At least I do.
Well, if he's been ejected from 22 games and he's gotten multiple flagrant fouls, like countless flagrant fouls.
Mm-hmm. So now it's time to call the NBA out on their protocols of what they allow and don't. I mean, that's where I'm at with this at this point. Yeah. It's like the NFL being called out for letting wife abusers continuously do their thing and, protecting and coddling and all that goes on in football. It's happening right here. And at some point, you got to call out the NBA for their allowing this type of stuff. These people are supposed to be role models, quote unquote, to children that are watching with their parents. And society is accepting it. Okay. All right.
And so that was in November, which is, I believe, the first time that the Grizzlies and the Warriors met. And this is in December, which I believe is the second time. So if you look here under the basket, you have Zach Edey right here directly under the basket. And you have, once again, Draymond Green matched up with him right behind him. So just watch the two of them during this interaction. This guy with the ball right here is going to pass it off to Draymond. Draymond's going to go up for a layup. John Morant is going to come down and make an awesome block on Draymond Green. Draymond Green, once again, gets butt hurt, so he feels like he's got to act like a little baby once we get down to the other end of the court. Watch his interaction with Zach Edey as they run down to the other end of the court after this block by John Morant.
Backs down.
Watch this. Watch right here. Zach and Draymond. Draymond's already acting the baby. He's already acting. 12-year NBA veteran, and he's acting like a big baby. Like the NBA does.
Does that surprise you?
Yep. No, I'm like shifting over to your NBA is responsible for this more than Draymond and Steve Kerr. Like,
yeah, when we let bad behavior go unchecked, that who do we start calling out for that?
Right. NBA players shouldn't get allowed to sit there and yell at a referee. Like, no, 99% of the NBA players don't get away with that. People like LeBron do, and the stars do.
When you go to children's sports, you got the parents of the children doing it as well.
Yep, you are correct.
I am so turned off by sports in America anymore. My little grandson did take up soccer 2 years ago, and it's just like, he's 9, so it's a little kid's game. But there was this one set of parents that continued to push their daughter, because it was a mixed team, push her, and you could tell as the game was progressing. The little girl was good, but you could tell she was under a lot of pressure and at the time, this was like last year, not this past season, so she was probably 7, 8 years old. And I felt bad for this child because these two parents were putting so much pressure on her from the sidelines. And then you can hear the parents making comments about these volunteer coaches that are out there trying to give your child a good time and expose them to a sport. And it really turned me off. Like, I didn't even want to go back to the games because I'm that grandma that will tell you to shut the F up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sit down, you grown-ups, and act like it.
Right. And nobody's willing to tell that to Draymond Green. I think he actually got suspended for one of the playoff games when Golden State was in the finals one year. I think he got suspended for one of the playoff games, which hurts his team. Like, it's completely selfish, immature behavior and hurts his team. I don't know why Steve Kerr tolerates it. I don't know why the NBA tolerates it. I think we got one more. The next time they meet, this is Golden State and Memphis. The next time they meet, see, here's Zach Edey, number 14. Here's Draymond Green, number 23, underneath the basket. Let's see what happens here.
Looking at it, not well defended by Moody, but Draymond and Edie.
Watch how Draymond keeps him from going back up to take a shot with that offensive rebound.
Hard foul, and Edie didn't like it. I'm telling you.
See, the ref is just sitting there telling him, just chill out, calm down.
Zach Edey has that Draymond podcast in mind. He's just trying to show he's not soft. Draymond just was given a good hard foul, making sure, because this is all.
So the announcers are in on it too. It's just a good hard foul. It's just a good hard foul, making sure he didn't make the basket. Oh, really? Watch.
Draymond could do to make sure Edey didn't get this one up. Edey just pushed him under, and Draymond went for the ball. Good hard foul.
Did you see that left arm around his neck? Listen to what the announcer says right here.
Nothing on the head and neck area.
No, there was something on the head and neck area, Mr. Announcer, that's a shill for the corporation. Anyway, that's it. All right, that's all I got. So there's a developing thing brewing between NBA rookie Zach Edey, Purdue two-time National Player of the Year, and punk-ass bitch Draymond Green.
The only thing that should be brewing is some look at policy and why we letting this dude back in.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I know I was boring you. We got some more interesting stuff to go through.
Joe Schmoe's sports recap of the morning.
Right?
We're
I
getting
am a
used
sports
to it.
fan.
We're getting used to it. It's okay.
I'm trying to bring you stuff that is more relatable to people that aren't sports fans, that you can like see somebody acting like that in a game and be like,
But I
no,
can see
that's
grown-ups
not right.
acting like little children.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen it. That's why I don't watch these sports. Sorry.
Right.
Not sorry.
All right. So last week we got through part one of the interview between Nate and Melanie GIbb, Nate of East Idaho News. But also Colby Ryan did a live, I think it was Thursday night, and he talked a lot. And I love the way that he's so real with how he talks on his channel. I mean, he's real about his relationship with his mom, Lori. And he got real about his siblings too, and specifically about Tylee's relationship with Lori. And I want to play that as kind of an intro to get into. So Lori Vallow is going to go on trial the end of March for the murder of her then husband, Charles Vallow. We've watched the body cam footage of the Chandler PD when they arrive on the scene to investigate. But Tylee was with Lori that morning, and we see her on body cam too. And she actually got called into the police station so they could talk with her about what she saw and knew about what happened that day between her uncle, Alex Cox, and her adopted dad, Charles Vallow. So I want to first play what Colby said last week about the relationship between Lori and Tylee, and then I want to get into her police interview. So let's see if we can find that. I know it's in my playlist. Oh, it's in my playlist. So we'll share the playlist first. It's still on Zach Edey, so hang on just a second and I'll fast forward to that, to Colby's clip. Are you serious? It's muted? Are you
No
freaking
sound,
kidding
Joe.
me?
Yeah, no sound. Sorry, I was texting my son, then I realized you were playing that and there was no sound to it.
But you guys heard the sound for the NBA videos, right?
Yes, Joe. Your stuff be all whacked out. StreamYard, somebody opened a portal and messing with your StreamYard. StreamYard's like, I'm gonna mess with Joe Schmoe this morning.
Not just this morning, it happened last time too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's trying to explore other options. They charge a lot of money to be a crappy platform.
That's going on. And if we don't get audio for this, we're probably going to have to end early because that's just ridiculous. All right. I'm going to try one more time. If this doesn't work, we'll probably unmute and slide the volume thing on the video. User error. Dizzy. No, you're throwing me under the bus. Dizzy, I thought you liked me.
What does he do? Let me see. I got to read. Sorry, my son was bothering me this morning about some text. All right.
The volume thing on the video is all the way to the right.
Dizzy, it's user error. Okay, girl, get him.
It probably is, but I got to find the right setting to fix. Right?
What do you? No, I mean it should. What's going? I don't understand what's happening. You're just playing off his YouTube channel, so it should be fine because I do this all the time.
Right.
But then again, I haven't used StreamYard.
So I'm gonna hit play, and y'all are gonna have to tell me.
Okay.
Of how she just wanted.
Yep. You got it now. Dizzy.
Accepted and loved as everyone does. The thing is with that relationship is that my mom never gave that love. That love wasn't offered. We didn't have the type of love that you need. I think any kid would tell you, I'd rather live in a cardboard box with my parents and feel loved than live in a giant mansion and be empty. You know,
Did you hear that? That's like really deep stuff. I'm going to play it again.
But it's absolutely true. It happens all the time.
Yes.
I've seen so many detached parents, especially this day and age, that it's mind-boggling to me. Super detached parents, and it's uncalled for.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the detachment for parents today is different than the detachment that our parents had, because my
parents didn't have detachment. I didn't experience that, thank God. My
dad and his dad too, but it was like a generational thing. It was like, you don't talk about your feelings, you don't talk about your emotions, you don't acknowledge abuse, you don't acknowledge hurtful things. You just like pretend to live a perfect life.
No, see, I wasn't raised in that kind of family. My mom was adamant, nobody's perfect, and you better rake around your own back door before you go raking around somebody else's. That's what she'd say. And she would also say, never say, not my kid. My mama was cut from a different cloth, I think, and that's why I'm so different, because I don't understand. I know that especially with men, and even some women, you're told to bury your feelings, your thoughts, all that stuff when we were growing up. And I had friends who had parents like that, but the detachment today seems to be more of a like it's because they're more important than their own children. Right? Their wants and needs are more important than my kids' wants and needs, which is bullshit.
Yep. Absolutely. Or the detachment comes from them being so obsessed with technology. They're on their phone all the time. They're on their
that's
computer
part of it. That's part of that me world, and I raised 3 kids without all that technology and one with it. Right, because my youngest is 15 years between my other youngest son. That sounded weird. My older son and my youngest son are almost 15 years apart. So I raised another kid in a whole different set of circumstances, right? And I had to learn that world. And now he's 18, but I never allowed, social media to take the place of parenting. And my kid's a huge gamer. I've seen people throw shade at parents whose kids play games. So what? I know where my kid is and what he's doing at all times. And if he's at home playing a video game, I think on a Friday night at 16, I'd rather that than be out on the streets, getting into trouble at 16. But a lot of it, these parents today are that phone and that Instagram, living that perfect life, while their kids are suffering.
And we see it time after time after time after time.
Oh, good. In the morning, I'll have an update on that Michigan mom that abandoned her children. She was out living her best freaking life while them babies was in a filthy ass apartment starving. And I'm calling her out in the morning. Yeah.
It takes me back to the moment when Tylee was willing at 2 years old to say, yes, we can drive off the cliff. It makes me wonder of how she just wanted to be accepted and loved as everyone does. The thing is with that relationship is that my mom never gave that love. That love wasn't offered. We didn't have.
Do you hear that? My mom, this is Lori Daybell, never gave that love. That was never offered.
The type of love that you need. I think any kid would tell you, I'd rather live in a cardboard box with my parents and feel loved than live in a giant mansion and be empty. It's kind of an extreme example, but anybody would rather take a situation where they have their parents who love them and give them what they need versus materialistic things. And to be honest with you, I think that's how Tylee and I both kind of just grew up. We had a lot of things. We were blessed in that way, right? But she chased and craved what we all want is love. She wanted that acceptance. And
she chased and craved that thing that she never got, which was love and acceptance. How heartbreaking is that? How heartbreaking is that?
The reason this is bringing me back today is because my mom's already said these things about Tylee. She's already made a blank statement that she's going to protect Tylee at all costs now. So that is her mission. But Tylee was put in this position her whole life as being the difficult one, and whatever the case was by my mom, right? She always got shrugged off. And
remember what we found out when we listened to Melanie GIbb's interviews last week? She was throwing JJ under the bus all the time and talking about how difficult JJ was.
Yeah, it's not Lori, it's her kids. They got to go because they're possessed.
Both of them, but both of them, though. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Well, okay, so remember, according to Lori's warped ass mind, those kids were possessed. So yes, she had an issue with both of those kids.
Right, but did they become possessed after she thought they were difficult and she had a hard time managing them?
I think she told herself, "Oh, they've been possessed the whole time," then, or some shit like that.
Yeah. Right, probably, but I mean, she agreed to adopt with Charles, and then
I know, I know all of,
and then she changed her mind. And
because she's a narcissistic, self-absorbed person, and is going to blame everybody around her except for Lori. My kids are hard to handle. My kids are bad. Well, maybe that's because you are a bad parent. Lori, your son agrees, by the way.
Thank you. Yep.
And they were always fighting and arguing and having this back and forth bickering. And the end of the day, I didn't see that growing up. Like not that I didn't see it. I didn't understand and see it like I do now. I didn't get it. I didn't realize the dynamic, right? I just thought they just had problems with each other because of whatever. You don't know until you're older. I didn't see it till I was out of the situation later on. And I started talking to Tylee and we started doing some type of therapy. And guess what? I was not a great therapist to her at that time because I thought that she and my mom needed to make amends. I thought they needed to have a kumbaya moment and I wanted them to unite. And so I was trying.
This is really, really raw and real by him saying
Oh, yeah.
I
You
thought it
have
should
to
be
give it to
handled one
him.
way, and I was wrong. For him to say I thought it should be handled one way and I was wrong is a pretty big admission.
He is, look, this kid has laid it all out there for quite a while now. He doesn't mince his words. He's very honest. And I've always known about Colby, right? And I've always known about his YouTube channel. And I have watched a lot of what he's done. And he is just very honest about Lori. And I commend him for that because he's able to get there, and it took him a long time. And like he said, when he was younger, there were things that he didn't understand until he became older. And so he speaks very honestly and openly, and I do commend him for that. Yeah.
Trying to encourage her to try to listen to my mom. And that was on me. That was my bad. And that was something that I should have never said to her because I should have listened to what her feelings were. And I'm getting this all out now because I'd like to be able to have you guys understand that Tylee just didn't have protection. She didn't have the love she needed. She didn't get any of those things. And she lived her.
Wow. She didn't have protection. She didn't have the love she needed. She didn't have any of those things. This is so heartbreaking.
Life watching or having someone who's completely up and down in mood, running all over the place, moving you back and forth, and then basically just kind of giving you what you want, which as a kid, you're like, cool, like I can have this, I can get a car, whatever the case is. Like, that's cool. That doesn't ever make up for love. And
I think that's good for now. I put his channel in chat. I put a link to his channel in chat. So if you want to check out the rest of that video, go over to his channel and check it out.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It is. He gives you a lot of this is the one person that has a lot of insight to Lori Vallow, her own biological son, her firstborn. He knows her better than any of us do. So yeah, I agree. He's very honest. I see chats. Who was that? Dizzy said that. Yeah. And hopefully what he's out there doing can help other people, right? And even people who are younger that are coming up into this kind of thing. So that's the importance of him, people like him, Trace on the Case, Christian, all coming out and talking, and Megan, it will really help people who are in similar situations. They may recognize a red flag, you know what I mean, that they wouldn't have recognized before because they didn't know any better.
Right. All right. So we know a little bit more about Tylee now. We know a little bit more about her relationship with Lori and what she wasn't getting in her life. And we saw her with Lori on that body worn cam, when after Charles was shot, Lori took her to Burger King or wherever it was to go get breakfast, and then they came back. And then Chandler PD interviewed her. So we're going to play some of that now. It's 2 hours long. Obviously, we're not going to play all 2 hours. But I think it's going to help give us a little better insight into what Colby was saying and what she was going through in that moment when Charles, her adopted father, was shot in her house. She was in her house. She's the one that came out of her bedroom with a bat, and that's the bat that supposedly Charles grabbed and threatened Alex with.
Dizzy has a question. Dizzy, so after Charles, everything happened in the apartment, Lori got in the car and took JJ and Tylee to Burger King, and then took JJ to school, and Tylee went back to the scene with her mom. Yeah, they took JJ to school. That was Lori's excuse. She needed to get JJ out of there. So she went ahead and took him to Burger King and then took him to school. And then her and Tylee returns and the cops are there.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me that Tylee is wearing a tie-dye shirt, because what other teenager of about the same age do we know that was wearing a tie-dye shirt?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's just like my mind goes there. I know there's no actual correlation, but there's a mental bridge between the two that's so tragic. Like, so tragic. Like, so this interview was how long before she was unalived in Idaho?
I can't remember the date on the. I can't remember the date on the. So this was right after Charles was killed. So I don't know. I can't. I don't. I hate to give you an exact quote on the time between the two. I can't remember. I can't recall. I don't recall. Has police testify on the witness stand? I don't recall, sir.
Just checking. You guys have audio on this, right?
Yes, sir. Hit that expand button.
July, August, September. So this is like 2 months before she's unalive.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Trace.
So she's humming here. Is she humming like a church song? Like, is she trying to find some inner peace through humming a church song? Because as a Mormon, that's what you're taught. That is a
I don't
Mormon
know
thing.
if it's a church. I don't know if it's a church song or if she's being a normal kid who's bored.
Right, right. Oh gosh, that's worse than fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Cracking your knuckles, like
I don't crack my knuckles, but bam, my sister would do it all the time. I'm like, oh my god, it just creeped me out.
it does me. I like, it's worse than fingernails on a chalkboard. Like,
yeah, I'm not down with it either. That's something we got in common, then, Joe. We don't like the finger cracking people.
No, don't crack your knuckles. Oh, now she's gonna crack her toes. No, girl. Oh no, she's cracking her toe knuckles too. I can't take it. Like, I understand the stretching and cracking knuckles things. Those are like to relieve stress, right? But I mean, all in all, for having been not necessarily a direct eyewitness, but being a witness, a secondary witness to a murder, she is being extremely calm in this situation. So that I find that for someone her age, I find that extremely unusual, not in a bad or a good way, just an observation. She
doesn't look real calm on the inside to me.
Yeah, she's trying to relieve some stress. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we may have to speed up a little bit here. He's still sitting there.
Fast forward till somebody comes in the room.
Here we go.
Hi. So you have to spell your name because we're all taking guesses on how to spell it. We're not sure.
Tylee.
Okay, I was right. And what's your last name?
Ryan, Ryan.
And your birthday. And then, do you have a phone?
Yeah.
What's your phone number? Okay.
So Tylee Ryan, and I am still connecting all of the dots in this. So is she Joe Ryan's biological daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you knew that.
I'm probably did, but I just need to confirm it in this moment.
Yeah, and Colby has a different father. Joe Ryan was not his father, but he was
Okay.
Tylee's father. And then, of course, JJ's biological parents were Kay's son and whoever his mother was.
Right.
So I know this is going to kind of sound like kind of a silly question because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start and explain. I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
Okay. So I woke up probably around like 7.
So this is a minute by minute version of what she remembers happened that morning that Charles Vallow was shot to death by Alex Cox. So this is, I wonder if she's going to be called as a witness in this case. I wonder.
You mean, would she have been?
Yes, that's what I mean. Told you I'm having trouble connecting all the dots. That's a big one right there. That's a big dot. Would she have been? Right. So, okay. So that's an important factor, right? Did that factor in the fact that she's not alive right now?
Some of us believe so.
That she was a witness to what went on that day.
Yeah. Exactly. So did Tylee have to
50
go for
hours?
whatever, I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, I know why Lori says that but yes, was there something, that Tylee knew that wasn't true? You know what I'm saying? And they know that Tylee knew it wasn't true. So did that play a part in her death? Probably.
Say, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. And I don't even know what I heard, but I immediately like jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get like pepper spray or anything. So I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So your bedroom, you said right outside your bedroom door, and I didn't go in the house, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. So what is your bedroom door open to?
My bedroom door open, so the room that my uncle was staying in, the room that's kind of like the guest room, if my room's right here, that's right there.
Okay.
And then my little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in and
like big great room, kind of living room.
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but
hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house. So.
Right. So yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed.
Wait, she just said my mom wanted a dance room?
Yeah, you did. Okay, so Lori had a dance room, and she would send Chad videos of her dancing, dude.
Oh.
There's a lot you got to still unpack about this.
There's a whole nother level of I didn't need to know that.
Okay, well, it's part of the case file, especially in their trials.
Dang.
But yes, Lori would get up there and do Lori and send these little videos over to Chad of her dancing in her dance room.
Like, was there a pole in the dance room, or
if
was
I'm
it
not mistaken? I can't recall. Trace, was there a pole in that dance room? I can't remember.
Or was it more like a ballerina bar type of thing?
Oh, it was Lori Vallow's dance room, dude. I don't know what all was in it. She probably had both. She probably had the dance rail and the pole.
And I opened the door, and it was my stepdad, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. And he was just screaming at both of them. Like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly, I was just too, like wired, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just kind of just stood there. And then my uncle kind of moved out of the way, and then my mom kind of went past him and into, like, the big room.
Okay.
Where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then I
So they were more in the hallway.
Yeah, they were at, like...
She's describing these events, like, second by second, act by act. This is like...
And like Trace said, that dance room was all mirrored. I forgot about the mirrors in the dance room. Lori was a goddess and a stripper. USA, libertarian.
Oh, dang.
Can't make this shit up, can we?
Charles was killed in the dance room? I thought he was found on the kitchen floor. I thought we saw from the body cam that he was on the kitchen floor. We need to check into that more.
The end of the hallway, basically. And so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them. And I just kind of stood. My uncle was, like, right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. I kind of just held it there. And he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out, like, between them. And they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to go to jail. And I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
When you said that.
Wait, she says that he told her that if she hit him with a baseball bat, she was going to go to jail. And that seemed like a genuine comment. Like, that didn't seem like a made-up comment. Like, she wasn't spouting something that Lori prompted her with, I think, in that moment. So it's a heated moment. It's a very heated moment. That doesn't mean that somebody has to end up dead, but somebody did end up unalived.
They were yelling. Who was yelling?
It was mostly my stepdad.
Okay.
Well, he was really the only one, like, yelling.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was kind of, like, responding,
Mm-hmm.
but I honestly couldn't tell you what they were saying. It was kind of just, like, all jumbled up in my head. And so I just kind of stuck the baseball bat out there, and then he just grabbed it and tried to take it. So I held on to the end, and then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it. And that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I fell to the ground, and then my uncle kind of, like, I saw him take a step back, so my uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of took him back so he couldn't, like, do anything.
You saw your stepdad, like, take a step back?
Take a step back, because he was really close to begin with, and then and so my mom said to go with JJ, and so I ran out the door, and then I kind of just stood there with my little brother. He was in the front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and, like, he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay. We have to stay in. And I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no, and then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here, and then eventually my mom came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then we left from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Whoa, that was a little bit of a gap right there. So then we're standing there at the car, and then all of a sudden we left from there. There's a couple of pieces missing from the story. I got to rewind that and re-listen to that. Sorry, people. But that doesn't make 100% sense to me. I got to listen to that part of the story again.
And then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it, and that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah. Uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and, like, he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay. We have to stay.
He was trying to get out, and I said, no, we have to stay. That's reasonable.
And I I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no. And then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like,
my car was blocked in. How old was Tylee? So she had her own car and she had a driver's license and everything. I didn't realize she was that old.
Her Jeep was yes.
Okay. I was thinking she was more like Libby's age because she reminds me like I bridged the gap between her and Libby, like for some reason. But yeah, Libby had to have Kelsey drive her and Abby to the Monona High Bridge Trail.
Yeah.
okay, like, just stay here. And then eventually my mom came out, and then we left from there.
Okay.
Eventually, my mom came out and we left from there.
Yeah.
So she didn't say anything about hearing a gunshot.
Well, not yet. I mean, we don't. Yeah. I mean, in that moment, that's how far she's got up to at this point. Will she even, I can't recall. It's been a long time since I watched this one. Yeah, she was I'm sorry, I was reading chat, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house? Has your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the basement I was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like,
what is that detective doing there? This girl just described hearing a gunshot and you're going to look away and put your notebook down?
No, Joe, Joe? Yeah, she needs to let her talk in her own words. What did the cop just do that bothered you?
She disengaged from the personal level of contact, like eye-to-eye contact.
For a second?
Yes. Yeah, that can make all the difference. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's my opinion. This is damn it. I need to put up my scroller on the bottom, don't I? This is just my opinion. So when somebody is explaining something that is very personally tragic for them, they're explaining a tragedy that happened in their life. I don't want to break eye contact with them. I want to
I think you watch too many body language expert people.
No, it's my personal life. That's in my personal life. If it's my son, if it's my daughter-in-law, if it's my ex-wife, if you're sitting there talking to me and explaining something that is a personal tragedy to you, I am going to maintain eye contact with you while you are explaining that. I'm not going to look away and put something down because that tells me that I'm not interested in what you're saying.
Because I need to get this shit out of my hands so I can concentrate and focus now. I don't. So we do see this differently, but that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. You may be right. I may be wrong.
Salt and pepper.
Yep.
like Al's okay, right? Because that's my uncle. So I just want.
Oh, you were right. She put down her notebook and now she's leaning into her.
Boom.
You were 100% correct. Boom. That's why I never say that I know that I'm right, because I don't know that I'm right ever.
I make sure that my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff. And so she was like, no, like, I was fine. Like, we're just going to take Daddy to school. And I was like, okay. So I just got in the car. And then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, which was chicken fries for no reason.
Okay. I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
Breakfast.
Okay. You may be right about that part, but she's picking up her phone and she's texting on her phone while this girl is explaining something.
Probably with other investigators that are telling her to ask specific questions.
That's fine. Leave the phone alone for like 30 seconds until she's done telling this story.
Okay, Joe, y'all.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down and listen for like 30 damn seconds. That's it.
Damn, if Joe ever saw me in person, he gonna rip me apart. You
No.
gonna be like, no, dude, slow down, slow your roll, cowboy.
So to kind of back up a little bit, so you had talked about your stepdad, when you put the bat out, your stepdad was coming towards your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah, he was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few, like, violent times with him when I was really scared that he was going to hit me or hit my mom, like, just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along, like, just since I was little. And so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so, so.
Did she just say he and I have not gotten along our entire life, or did she say she and I have not gotten along?
Her and Charles, they would like butt heads, and Lori would instigate it, I believe. You know what I mean?
So how long has Tylee been in Charles Vallow's life at this point?
Okay, so when did her and Trace, when did they get married? I can't remember when she married Charles, and how long they dated. So whatever time that was, that's how long that he'd been in her life, dude. I can't recall how old she was when Lori married Charles, though. Maybe Trace knows.
But it feels like a long time to Tylee, because she says my entire life.
Well, look how old JJ was by the time this all happened, Joe. He was a baby when he was adopted, so she has been around Charles for years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Timeline.
Yep. That's all I'm trying to figure out is the timeline. But more importantly than the timeline, than like the actual scientific timeline, is how she feels. And she feels like it's been pretty much her entire life that they've been butting heads. So
yeah, because she was younger, because you got to go, so you go backwards. You know, JJ was, I forgot how old he was at the time of this, but so if you go 8 years at least, 8 years before this, yeah, she was young. So that felt like her whole life to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
since she was 3,
so that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you. So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by like the end of the bat, like the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of like lunged forward and kind of lost like my footing, and so my mom was like, just let go, and so I kind of like slipped and I fell, kind of on like my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay. Did you see when you fell towards your side? Did you see what he did with the bat?
No, I wasn't really looking in that direction, because from where I fell, the door was kind of more in my line of vision, because I fell looking this way and the door was like right there, so I didn't look back.
So he was at a different line of sight than what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you saw him kind of take a step back, and from what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, you didn't necessarily see your uncle pulling back, but it seems like that maybe.
It seems like he wouldn't have taken a step back on his own, so it's more of an assumption than anything. I didn't see him physically take him back.
And does that make sense based on where your uncle was at that time?
Yeah, he was behind him, because he wasn't on this side with me and my mom, so he was behind him.
Okay.
Because that's kind of just the order where everyone walked out.
And when that happened, and then your mom told you to go, did you see what happened with your stepdad and uncle?
No.
Okay. And then once you went outside with your brother, you never came back inside.
Oh, I went to go get my mom's purse
Okay.
from inside so that we could.
So somebody mentioned that earlier in chat that Lori sent Tylee back in to get her purse from a murder scene.
Well, yes, manipulative Lori. But there was no murder. That was an accidental that was what do you call that when you protect yourself?
Self-defense. Yeah.
Self-defense. Yes, thank you. It was a self-defense thing that had just had occurred.
Okay, but there's
Tylee doesn't realize that an all-out murder just occurred.
She said she thought that loud noise that she heard was the bat being slammed on the ground.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know that there's a gunshot, and I wonder where the purse was inside the house. But isn't it telling that Lori sent her in to get it in the first place?
Yes. Yeah. This Lori dude, that's not shocks me at all.
Well, there's somebody in one of my chats last week that said that they believe that Lori actually may have pulled the trigger.
I couldn't tell you about that. I mean,
no, I couldn't either. I don't think anybody can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Chandler PD would have had to done a paraffin test, a wax test on her hands.
Well, there would have been gun residue and all that gunshot residue on Lori. So that's a theory that, based on emotion, probably.
But did they test it though? Did they test her? Did they actually do a full investigation?
Hell, I don't know at this point. I don't know. I don't know who shot who in that house, but it is what it is.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy.
We've got a video of Mickey Steins, the sheriff who shot the judge, singing that with his daughter in his cop car.
For real?
No shit. For real. Dude, I had it for a long time. It's been out.
Oh man, that's too much.
Steins is in the front seat, daughter's in the back seat. They're doing like car karaoke, and the first one they play is "Oh Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Mickey." And then the second song they do is "I Shot the Sheriff."
Oh man.
Yeah, Mickey Steins. Mm-hmm.
That's too much. All right. We need to get to Melanie GIbb's second interview with East Idaho News because we got to get this off our plate so we don't have to come back to it like ever again. So we're going to do that.
September of 2019, Lori moves to Rexburg.
Right.
Did you know she was going?
Do you guys have audio? Please tell me you have audio.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm paranoid about it now. It's a thing. I'm having audioless PTSD. Is that what you call it? No audio PTSD?
Going to move? Did she talk with you about this before?
Yep. Well, she didn't decide until, I think August, maybe.
And how did she break the news to you?
Well, she said that first she thought Chad would come to be with her in Arizona. And then she said, I think I changed my plans. I think I'm supposed to be up there. He says I'm supposed to be up there, but I need to get my own answer to find out if I'm supposed to be there because she didn't really want to go there at first. And then
he said, I need to get my own answer. That's Mormon speak for I'm going to do what I want to do.
She said, I was told, yes, I need to go. And she needed to be there by a certain time. And so she decided to go. And then she just told me that I need to go up there.
And at that time, you're seeing her every day with...
No, not every day at this point. It started to slow down when Charles passed away. I didn't see her as much. It started kind of tapering off in the end. And especially when she moved to Rexburg, it really tapered off because she was now... And then plus she had been to a few different places, Hawaii and Texas. And so, I obviously couldn't spend every day with her. So it started to taper down after she started moving more.
And before Charles passed, you're talking to her a lot. And is she telling...
Wait, before Charles passed? Before he passed?
Yes.
Before he passed, Nate, dude, bro, he was shot to death by Lori's brother. He didn't
you want him to be all dramatic and so people can hate on mainstream media? I mean, I'm like, He was being polite about it, but he's trying to also
No.
get her to talk to him, right?
Yeah.
He's got to make Melanie feel incredible. Melanie's willing to open right on up to Nate. Nate's playing her like a fine-tuned fiddle, dude.
It's a fine line that you have to think about as a content creator and as a member of the media, whether it's social media or quote unquote mainstream media, right? You have to figure out where you're going to go with those questions. And I'm not a fan of his phrasing of that question. I'm not. Before he passed, no, Charles Vallow didn't just quote unquote pass. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Everybody is entitled.
But when
to
I
their
talk about Idaho 4, I don't get real graphic about how those kids died or how they passed on.
They didn't pass. They were unalive.
I understand that. I know that, but I'm not gonna, continuously describe it and get descriptive because I don't need to feel the
But if I had an interview with one of the family members, I don't think I would describe it as they passed.
I would be delicate about how I described it to a family member of a dead child.
Sure. All right, Nate. Let's see what else you got.
You that she wants to get a divorce, or she's saying Charles is pushing this divorce on me.
She says that he wants to get it, but she does not want to. She doesn't want to go through another divorce again.
I want to get back to that in a minute. But in September, she moved. She tells you that she needs to go up there. And what was your reaction about Chad telling her she needs to come up there, knowing that Chad still has the wife and 5 kids?
Yeah, well, we talked about that. I'm like, isn't that going to be awkward? She was uncomfortable with it. She believed that Tammy was going to pass away, though, before she got up there.
She believed that Tammy was going to pass away before she got up there. Lo and behold, Tammy passed away before she got up there.
I'm sure that. I'm sure that a vision was seen. That's how she knew. I'm being legit right now. That's what happened. And I know I've heard lately that people apparently feel some kind of way about Nate but here's the thing about Nate Eaton. He's literally the only reporter in the entire country that tried to find Lori Vallow and get to the bottom of where those kids were.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's gotten a lot of interviews with a lot of people and brought out a lot of information that if it hadn't been for him, wouldn't even be out there to be discussed. So, everybody can have their feelings about it, but I'm just saying,
No, I don't disagree at all. I have a lot of respect for him and for the work that he's done, but he's also subject to criticism, just like I am, just like you are, just like.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I get people. I don't actually get what people's problems were with him. I guess I'm figuring that out as comments come in and people are telling me there was an issue people have with him. I was not aware of that before because I had to rely on him to get a lot of coverage on this case. And a lot of times I don't pay the interviewers any attention when I'm focused on the person being interviewed, like in the latest Becky Patty interview. Right?
Oh, dang, girl. You're gonna have to bring us up to speed on that someday. Because I'm not interested because social media is ripping that lady apart. And I'm not going to be a part of it because I don't feel the way they do. Right.
So I won't be.
I don't either.
If people want to see it, they can go watch it for themselves and make up their own mind, but you won't hear me commenting about it publicly anywhere. I'm over it. I'm over the drama.
All right. So back to Nate and Melanie GIbb.
And that didn't happen. She didn't pass away before she got up there. And so I thought, I said, aren't you uncomfortable? Maybe she'll see you guys together. And so I thought it was different, that she was going to be up there when Tammy was still alive.
And she told you, well, Tammy will die before I move up there.
Right.
How was she going to die?
I heard a few times.
Oh, there's some stuttering going on there. read into it what you will, or don't read into it what you won't. But she stuttered for just like a half a second when he asked her that. How is she going to die? How is Tammy going to die?
Maybe through a car accident, something like that.
So they thought Tammy would be in a car crash,
Yeah.
would pass away, then Lori would move up there, and then she could marry Chad.
Mm-hmm.
And when that didn't happen, she said, I've still got to go.
Yeah, because, you know, the other side of the veil she's talking to, she said, I need to be there by this date. And
Did she just say the other side of the veil that she's talking to? I got to hear that again.
Yes, Joe. Yes. They were incorporating spiritual things into their practice and they didn't walk in the light. Let me just say it like that.
And I guarantee you that Kresha feels the same way.
I've still got to go.
yeah, because, you know, the other side of the veil she's talking to, she said, I
The
need
other
to be
side
there
of the
by
veil.
this date. And
She's communicating with
someone.
someone.
Yeah.
So she moves up
She's communicating with someone on the other side of the veil.
Yes.
there. And from what I understand, she and Chad would walk around the track at BYU, Idaho, holding hands, maybe kissing, you know, just displaying, looking like a married couple.
Well, she told me that they did walk around the track together. She didn't tell me what they did or didn't do, but I did have an opportunity to walk with them. And then we walked around and looked at the different pictures. I'd never been there before. So I saw the pictures that were in the gymnasium, or, you know, behind it where they have these beautiful pictures. So we talked and we walked. And yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, aren't you worried that people are going to see you? And she says, well, Tammy doesn't come out a lot. She doesn't come over to this part a lot. So.
But they were openly affectionate.
Yeah, and they said a lot of people that knew Chad didn't know what Tammy looked like because they didn't do a lot of the things together.
Did Chad ever talk?
Okay, so PDAs, I don't care if you're Mormon or fringe Mormon or a cult mom, PDAs are not okay. No. Take it somewhere else. We don't need to see that. Especially between Chad and Lori. Like, especially between Chad and anybody, we don't need to see PDAs. But just saying, that's not okay, whatever religion or spiritual philosophy you practice. Take your PDAs somewhere else.
Talk about Tammy possibly passing away?
I can't recall if he said it, but I know she did. He was very quiet most of the time. He let her do most of the talking.
How would you describe his personality at that time? Just reserved?
Reserved. Yeah, reserved. A little, sometimes he came across not very confident.
Did you stay with Lori at that time when you went up to visit her?
Mm-hmm.
And were the kids there?
Just FYI, people, this is part 2 of the interview with Nate, and they get into talking about the zombie thing. So that's the part that I'm waiting for. I'm just like letting us get there organically. And in this interview, I think Nate's doing a good job of leading her along that path. So let's see.
JJ was.
But Tylee was not.
Tylee was not.
Where was she?
I was told she was at BYU.
BYU in Provo?
Idaho.
BYU in Idaho. Would that have been a normal answer? Like a normal, okay, that makes sense type thing?
Well, I knew that Tylee had had her GED that she got when she was 16 or 17. I'm not sure exactly the age. And so it could have been plausible, but it didn't feel like it. There was definitely question marks. It was question marks for me. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like the truth. I didn't know what to say about it. I wouldn't assume that she had done something to her. So it was kind of, I don't know. It was unusual.
But you didn't question her?
I didn't question it.
Was JJ with you on the walks?
No.
Where was he?
He was at home.
By himself?
His uncle was watching him.
Alex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So JJ's home with Alex.
JJ is home with Alex. Kresha, we need you in here right now to explain this part of it to us. JJ's home with Alex. So that's not unusual. Like, kids stay home with their uncles all the time, but there was definitely something unusual with this.
Alex, but there's no sign of Tylee.
Correct.
And how long did you stay with Lori? That was it for a week?
So Thursday to a Monday morning.
I'm assuming Tylee never called her. She never called Tylee.
She didn't even talk about her.
Never spoke about Tylee.
Mm-hmm.
Did she speak at all about JJ?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he was all around us and we were talking about him quite a bit, actually.
What did she say?
As I arrived on the Thursday, she had said that he had turned into a zombie the day before I got there. And she was
Beep, 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 back it up. Did you catch that? He had turned into a zombie the day before I got there.
How convenient.
Pointing out behaviors of his, like, look how he's doing this, that's unusual, or look how he's doing that. And she was trying to create uncertainty in me about what I saw his behavior. Like, what do you call that? Like a doubt. A doubt. And I was looking at him and I thought, well, I don't know, he kind of looks like JJ to me, you know, hyper and angry one minute and kind of chill or crying the next minute. Like, that's how his behaviors always were around me. I don't know if they were always like that, but that's how I noticed him when I was around both of them. And she just gave me a few scenarios of different things he would say. That sounded a little unusual. I didn't hear him say it, but she would share things like he said this or he said that.
Had she talked about zombies before?
Mm-hmm.
And what did she tell you before JJ? What did she teach you about zombies and belief in zombies?
Had she talked to you about zombies before? And what did she teach you about zombies before JJ? This is a critical question. Very good question, Nate. Very good question.
So the first person, as we all know, is Charles, was considered one. And that was brought to Lori's attention by Chad on the phone call. I was in her house when that phone call came in.
That was brought to Lori's attention by Chad. Oh, Chad thinks that Charles is a zombie now. Interesting.
And he described to her that Charles was no longer Charles, that this unclean spirit that was friends with Charles.
Pokemon, we're learning that right now. Melanie GIbb is actually telling us when Chad told Lori that Charles was a zombie. But we don't have a date. I wonder if Nate is going to press her for a date. Probably not. But there's probably a pretty narrow window that we can boil down to if we get into it.
On the earth, you know, when they used to be friends, had now passed on, and now he is this unclean spirit on the earth roaming around, and now he's attached himself to Charles, and now he has entered his body and taken over it. So he's not really Charles anymore. He's now this guy named Ned Snyder. And so
Ned Snyder is an evil spirit that has taken over Chad's body. Is that what we're defining as a zombie? Because I'm not going to lie. I watched The Walking Dead, like the first 5.5 seasons up until Carl was unalived. And I couldn't watch it after that because that didn't follow the graphic novel. But anyway, zombies are not evil spirits taking over a person's body in traditional zombie lingo. So
no, it's that they're not traditional. They're incorporating stuff, dude.
Yeah, like and
not like them Odinist.
Not just incorporating it, but they're also like twisting it like to a different angle.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Like they're taking possession, and possession is a common theological philosophy over multiple religions. An evil spirit takes possession of a human body, but that's usually not considered a quote unquote zombie, right? A zombie is somebody that is dead that comes back to life.
Yes.
Like that's the second coming, the resurrection, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. They twisted it and made their own stuff. Kind of like those Odinists.
Right.
I'm just saying.
The Vinlanders.
Oh.
Oh, well,
Um,
Azaru.
it was when she told me, and she seemed blown out by it. You know, I could tell she was like, that is really different. And she told me, and I thought that is very unusual. It was just, you know, because Chad had this influence on people because he had visionary experience.
Oh, I thought it was unusual that you were talking about zombies, but I didn't think it was unusual when people ended up dead. Melanie, come on. Melanie, you're killing me here.
Melanie's a liar with her pants on fire, trying to save her own self.
I'm looking at her picture right here and her trying to put her story forward to Nate Eaton with the East Idaho News. And it's just bizarre to me. I can't explain it other than to say it's just bizarre. Like the way that she's putting her story forth is not believable and makes me even worse.
But that was the beautiful thing about it, because people got to see this, you know what I mean? And call this woman out on her bullshit.
And we get to now.
You know, he could see things. At least he said, you know, he portrays that he did. But I do believe that when you think somebody can see things or have visionary experiences about things, you tend to kind of believe them more than the average person. Because, you know, if you ask me, I'd say I don't see anything. So you wouldn't take my point of view or my opinion. But if you had somebody that was really good at having visionary, because he often said that it was like the veil was open when he had his near-death experiences. So he often said that.
He often said that the veil was open when he had his near-death experiences. These are very, very dog whistle key phrases that we all need to pay attention to, because that was also the book that Lori followed religiously, like dogma, like official doctrine, was Visions of Glory, and that was by the other dude. I can't even remember his name, somebody Harrison, and I want to do a deeper dive into that book. I actually have a copy of that book now. But Visions of Glory was about that Chad is claiming to have visions now, like near-death experiences. That book, Visions of Glory, is about somebody else named Spencer, which is a pseudonym for the actual person who was claiming to have near-death experiences. So
Chad believed a lot of things, and Chad absolutely has these folks convinced about his near-death experiences and his visions, and the veil was thinning, and it's thin enough for him that he could cross over. Yeah, a lot, you know. And these people all bought it hook, line, and sinker, man. Like he was creating his own cult, you know, and incorporating many different things into that, and then making it his own. And
yeah, but here's the thing: is people like Melanie, though, are hedging their bets in all of these interviews, in the police interviews, in this interview with Nate. She is saying, well, I never believed it 100%.
Yeah.
Lady, does that really matter? You went along with it.
Exactly. She's just trying to change the narrative of how you want to see her, but she didn't succeed.
Not with me, she didn't. Not with me,
she didn't with anybody. Anybody who's followed the case knows that, yeah, what's up with her. And to me, she was just out there trying to save herself at this point. You know what I mean? We know about your phone calls with Lori about her wanting you to say you had JJ. I see you, Melanie.
Veil is open all the time. So he had this way of seeing things that Lori and I didn't have that we didn't have that gift of seeing. But I do.
He had this way of seeing things that Lori and I didn't have. You bought into that? Lori bought into that? Like, for real, both of you did? Like, you're just like, he had this way of seeing things beyond the veil that we didn't have. For real. But
Well, because not everybody.
Lori,
All right. So
but Lori
if
had that.
you
But Lori got bestowed the priesthood upon her by Moroni in the temple. So
okay, but if
we
you
have the ability to
study,
see through the veil.
there are a lot of different spiritual beliefs about the veil. Not everyone will be able to do that, right? And he convinced them he was one of the ones that could. So of course they're not going to be able to, because you got to really be in tune and connected in certain ways to be able to achieve that. And he was that, and he wanted them all to believe it, and they did.
Well, in the LDS Church, in Mormonism, the veil means something a little bit different than most other spiritual.
I understand that, but
those type of
Chad was
religions.
incorporating that other stuff in with his stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. But the priesthood is critical in being able to see beyond the veil. And if Lori had that bestowed upon her by the angel Moroni in the temple, she also should have been able to see through the veil, because
She thought she could eventually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
But Melanie never could.
Nope. And
Never got there.
Melanie never could get Jason Mao to pay attention to her. He was obsessed with Lori. So that's what she was mad about.
You have come to understand that that gift has been manipulated by the adversary. And so
By Satan.
absolutely.
She told him all of this.
She did.
And you're saying Lori even felt uncomfortable with that information that Chad had told her?
In the first day, I'll say the first day that she was trying to absorb it, I knew it was new for her.
And Chad's the one that called Lori and
Absolutely.
said, an evil spirit has attached himself to Charles.
That's right.
Named Ned.
That's right.
Any idea where that name came from?
I don't know how he got his information, other than she would say he would often sit in his portal and receive revelation about people.
So he's sitting in the portal most likely and received that. And she...
Here we are with the portal, folks. Chad Daybell is sitting in a portal receiving exclusive information about Lori's husband, that he has an evil spirit attached. So
I don't think he opened his portal safely.
Is that on the toilet? Is that on the toilet?
No, I'm not. Okay, look. When you open a portal, with certain spiritual beliefs, you have to open a circle of safety so you don't invite the evil in. So I don't think he was properly opening his circles and portals. That's all I'm saying. He downright invited all that evil in.
So last night on Crash's Live, somebody suggested that their portals were toilets. So we went down this rabbit hole of people sitting on toilets opening up portals, and it was hilarious. Oh, dang.
I hope none of them ever try to open a portal. Gee, really?
Right? Can you flush that portal away? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to light me a smudge stick in just about 2 seconds. I got one right over there in my little cauldron. About to fire that bitch up. Y'all give him evil vibes.
You need sage that flushes counterclockwise.
Okay, I'm lighting my sage right now. Lori, I'm done.
You know, Charles has his evil spirit. He's a zombie.
I'm not sure if they used that word in the beginning.
Okay.
They didn't use that word right away. They probably said that someone has taken over his body named this Ned Snyder.
She tells him, he becomes worried, actually goes before a court and says she needs to have a mental, a psychological evaluation.
Correct.
Did you go with her to that evaluation?
I did.
And what was that like?
They received her and she said, she passed with flying colors, and she got out quickly, and I waited on the outside for her. And then Tylee is actually the one that picked us up from there.
And when you say passed with flying colors, do you know what they did? Was it just an exam where she filled out a questionnaire, or she met with a doctor?
They went in the back room and they just talked to her about all kinds of stuff and asked her all kinds of questions. She didn't tell me in detail all the things.
That is so interesting. She just said that Lori had a psychological evaluation of some kind, and Tylee picked them up from that appointment. How crazy is that? How crazy is that?
You ever heard of Abraham Hicks
I have not.
or Esther Hicks?
No.
You can learn about channeling and how the spirit can enter a body and talk to them. It's insane stuff, and it's got nothing to do with Mormonism or what Lori and Chad were doing. And I can't wait for tonight's live with Kresha because I really want to hear what she's got to say.
Me too.
I probably didn't want to know, but yeah, she seemed that she wasn't evaluated as mentally ill. So they said that she's like, oh, you're fine. We know that you're not mentally ill. I mean, that's what she told me that they said.
And you know, narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths have a way of getting around psychological evaluations if they want to. Like, they know how to answer the questions, how the doctors want to hear the questions answered when they get asked. Like the smart ones do anyway. There are a few that aren't so smart that get identified by the doctors, but the smart ones know how to answer the questions properly so they don't get identified as mentally whatever, like mentally unstable, mentally not sound, unfit, incompetent, whatever. The smart ones know how to answer those questions. And I'm sure Lori is smart. I'm sure she is.
To her. So
Do you think she was honest with them and in her religious beliefs, or did she lie and give them the answers they wanted to hear?
I don't know. I don't know what they asked her. I should have asked her that, but I didn't.
So she gets out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And is that when the whole incident with her purse happened?
Shortly after.
And tell me about that. She accused Charles of stealing her purse from the car, right?
Correct. Right. So she went to drop off JG at the school that he goes to. He was out of town. So his truck was moved from the airport. And so when he came back from his flight, there was no truck. And so then I don't know how he, got around or anything. Maybe he called a friend. I don't know what he did. And then I got to remember the details of this. I know she had JJ. She dropped him off at school. And then he came to the school, and then he opened her car door, took her purse, and then took off. And then she got in the car, and she didn't see him. I don't believe she saw him. And then she's like, her purse.
What is the story she's telling about? Are you following this story about somebody taking JJ to school? So he got to the airport, his truck wasn't there. He took JJ to school. He grabbed her purse. Like, this is a wacko story. What is this story that's going on? What are we hearing?
A wacko lady talking.
Okay. All right. I won't review them. There's just
I mean, like, I don't know what else to tell you. She's just
this story is just like out of left field, though. Like, what does it have to do with anything? I don't know.
It doesn't. It's just Melanie being Melanie,
Just missing.
As all of these things are happening, there's a lot of bizarre incidents. Did you ever think, what is going on here? How can there be this much drama in one person?
It was a lot of drama. And I would ask them, like, why do these things keep happening to you? Because I have never been around so much drama in my life. Yeah. I'm kind of a chill person. And so it just seemed like there was one drama after another drama, and it never ended. And so I just thought, wow, this person, I used to say to her, why is everybody in your life turning into zombies? Like, why is everybody after you? Like, why? I don't understand. And she would say, well, it's because, Satan really hates me. And I'm because of my exaltation on the level that I'm exalted to, they're coming straight after me.
So anyone that would disagree with her or cause her any sort of problem would become a zombie?
Pretty much. Or either considered to be dark. They're a little bit different, but that's another discussion.
Yeah. From what I understand, Lori knew how many zombies were in every state.
Yeah.
And she could tell
Everybody that goes against her is a zombie, and she knew how many zombies were in every state.
Yep.
This is like this level of belief system that you have to subscribe to be a part of their circle tells us all we need to know about this woman who is being interviewed right now by Nate Eden. Like, she just like nods her head and said, yep. She knew how many zombies were in each state. Like, everybody that came against her ended up being either dark or being a zombie. Like, the level of cognitive dissonance or hypocrisy or whatever you want to call it is just insane in this. And this is just with one lady. And what I'm finding out is there are so many peripheral characters in this case. There's Jason Mao, there's Julie Rowe, there's like so many peripheral characters. There are the Gatherers, and Kresha did a live on the Gatherers last night, and I still want to learn more about those. But this is just crazy to just digest this and accept it as normal, as a normal way of life, as a normal belief system is mind-boggling to me. Is anybody else mind-boggled by this level of acceptance?
Who was a zombie and who wasn't?
Well, not their name. Like, she couldn't know the whole world's name, so she would just have a number Chad would give her. Like, they would, I guess he would receive revelation on, okay, there's this many. So it was their commission, though, to get rid of all the zombies before, tribulations came upon us. That was their goal.
And how would they get rid of the zombies?
Through some kind of prayer that they would do, which they believed was effective, because they'd go back and, check in the portal to how many died, and the number would come up, 10,000 died or whatever. But
through some kind of prayer that they would do. So this is relevant to the discussion that Kresha and I are going to have tonight, because there are ritualistic things that occurred. There were rituals that went on. And the kids were very likely a part of some of those rituals in one way or another. And I want to learn from Kresha more about that part of it. So that's what we're going to go over tonight. We're supposed to go over tonight. But I mean, you can read the lines directly. You don't even have to read between the lines about what she's talking about here.
But there was no way of knowing it was real. Does that make sense? I mean, you have to say, does that make sense, Nate? I know.
Okay.
So let me get
hold
this
on.
straight.
I'll play back a
They're
few
saying
words. Here we
in
go.
every
We'll go
state.
backwards.
Yeah.
And she could tell who was a zombie and who wasn't.
Well, not their name. Like, she couldn't know the whole world's name, so she would just have a number Chad would give her. Like, they would, I guess he would receive revelation on, okay, there's this many. So it was their commission, though, to get rid of all the zombies before,
Yeah, Forrest, she's laughing and she's smirking while she's in the middle of this interview after children have been unalived and dismembered and burned in a fire pit in Rexburg, outside of Rexburg. And she's laughing and joking and smirking about it. I have no words. I'm out of words.
Tribulations came upon us. That was their goal.
And how would they get rid of the zombies?
Through some kind of prayer that they would do, which they believed was effective, because they'd go back and, check in the portal to how many died, and the number would come up, 10,000 died.
So they would offer up prayers in the portal, and then they would go back and check the register of how many zombies were dead or alive, and they would see that after they prayed in the portal, 10,000 zombies were dead. So their prayers must have been effective. This You can't make this stuff up. I mean, obviously you can, but good grief. They would say a prayer in the portal, and they would know the number of zombies before they had their prayer, and then they would go check the number of zombies after they had their prayer, and 10,000 zombies would be dead after they prayed, so their prayer must have been effective. Holy freaking frass and rasset. I can't.
Or whatever, but there was no way of knowing it was real. Does that make sense? I mean, you have to say, does that make sense, Nate? I know.
So let me get this straight. They're saying there's 10,000 zombies and
He just laughed. Nate just laughed. Oh, all right, Nate. I just became a little more of a fan of you for laughing after that. Just a little bit more of a fan. And you know I have 2 of your t-shirts too.
Idaho. Go into the portal, say the prayer, come out and say, oh, we got rid of 1,000 of them.
Something like that.
Let's talk a little bit about Charles, and then we'll get back to September when you got
Louise,
to the house. Because from what I understand, Lori received a revelation that Charles was supposed to die in an accident on his way home from Texas.
Correct.
He didn't die. So what was her reaction at that point?
Pokemon, that's a really good question. And there are people that feel like she should have been charged in some way, as several other of the peripheral characters in this, Jason Mao, Julie Rowe, like, may have had some responsibility that should maybe be charged.
Well, I asked her, I'm like, why didn't he die? You were told he was supposed to die. Why didn't he die? And she said, well, I think she went to Chad and asked because I don't think she knew the answer to that. And so he let her know that the accident that was supposed to happen didn't because of people's choices. So when things didn't go according to plan or according to a timing, it was only because of agency, and it would change. Oh, it's because somebody changed their agency. Very inconsistent.
And the night before Charles died, didn't she call Alex and say, come and stay with me? Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
She did.
Yeah.
And then
The night before, Alex shot Charles Vallow. She said, Alex, come and stay with me. They're in their house in Chandler, Arizona. In the house that Charles was paying for, and she told him he couldn't come and stay at. He needed to get a room at a hotel or something.
then the next day, Alex shot Charles. What do you think happened there?
I didn't know about it till like 4 days after it happened. She called me and she said, hey, did you see the news? I'm like, I don't watch the news.
Wait a
And then
sec.
she
What
told me-
your best friend did not tell you for 4 days that
Right.
her husband had been shot and killed.
Correct.
Your best friend did not tell you for 4 days that her husband had been shot and killed. Something is wrong here. Something doesn't fit. Your best friend didn't tell you for 4 days that her husband had been shot and killed. Digest, process that, if you will. That's pretty crazy stuff.
Found out through her, though. She did call me and let me know. And she said, have you not heard and watched the news? I said, I don't watch the news. And she said, Charles was shot. And I'm like, what? And so tell me what happened. And anyway, so I got to visit with her for a while, and she gave me, I think.
Wait, what? She said, Lori told me Charles has been shot and killed. And I said, tell me what happened. And then, anyways, so I stayed with her for a couple of days. No, lady, tell me what Lori told you after her husband had been shot and killed. Don't say, tell me what happened, and then, oh, we stayed together for a couple of days. No, that's not how the story goes. That's not how a logical sensible story goes. You don't say, I asked somebody a question about the death of her husband and then I stayed there for a couple of days. No, lady. No. Doggone.
I think she gave me the rendition that she gave the police. You know, it sounded, you know, what I've heard, it sounds like the same thing as, you know, he came over and the question that I had, that part of me was like, well, why is he coming to get you and kill you? Like, I don't understand why Charles wants to kill you.
She told you Charles showed up to kill her.
That was his way. He was coming down from Texas.
To kill her.
Wait, she did not answer that question directly? We're going to listen to that question again by Nate. She told you that Charles was coming to kill her. She does not answer that question directly. So she's insinuating it, but she will not admit to it directly. We got to hear that again. Come on, Melanie, you can do better.
It was like, why is he coming to get you and kill you? Like, I don't understand why Charles wants to kill you.
She told you Charles showed up to kill her.
That was his way. He was coming down from Texas.
To kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she had called Alex the night before to come over to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And
is not all that convincing to me. Sorry, lady. Sorry, lady. You ain't doing it. You ain't cutting it for me.
That he shot Charles in self-defense.
Correct.
You knew, though, that she had told you months earlier that Charles was possessed of a zombie.
Correct.
So did you think, well, there's more here?
Right, because if he's coming down, that's why I'm like, well, what, like as a person that would perceive, the public wouldn't perceive him as a zombie, right? Like, what kind of reason could he give anybody for coming down to kill her? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so
what kind of reason could he give anybody for coming down to kill her? If you're going to go down and you're going to unalive your wife, who you're sick and tired of, you're not going to give anybody any reason, no how. So, wow, like word salad and is not even close to approaching what the level of this lady has to offer us. If he's going to come down and kill her, what's he going to tell somebody? He's not telling anybody anything. He's just going to go do it. Lady.
So she just said, well, they're after me. And I said, well, why? She said, well, for insurance. Like, I have $3 million of insurance on my head. And I'm like, really?
She said she had $3 million of insurance on her head.
Mm-hmm.
Did she ever talk to you about Charles's insurance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did she say?
She said that he had, I think, about $1 million. And
that's the classic narcissist right there. I got about $3 million life insurance on me. He's only got like $1 million on him. So why would I want to unalive him? Why would I unalive somebody for $1 million that gets switched over from you to Kay? Oh my goodness.
That she knew when he passed away that she thought she'd get the money.
So she talked about how when Charles dies, I'm going to get $1 million.
I don't know if she was 100% sure, because she thought maybe possibly it could have been switched from her to Kay. So she wasn't sure if she was really going to get it or not.
But
there's a little foreshadowing right there. She was a little worried that it might be switched over to Kay and she might not get any. Oh, dang. That actually happened. That happened, Lori. Sorry, folks. I gotta make something like halfway interesting out of this, because she is such a horrible liar. And she is such a peripheral narcissist. Like, Lori is the true narcissist, but Melanie and the other women that were in the periphery and the gatherers are like, they're periphery narcissists.
So
I
with
just
Lori,
I just
with Lori, yeah, but with Lori worrying that he may switch it over to Kay, she needed to act quickly, or you know what I mean? Gave her
Yeah,
more motive to go on with
absolutely.
what. Yeah,
Right,
that's
right. And unfortunately or fortunately, he got it switched over beforehand.
It was something she was thinking about and talking about.
Yeah, she did know about it.
And then when
And by that, I just meant that, unfortunately, if you're Lori, he changed his life insurance policy before you unalived him. So, wah, wah, wah.
when she found out it had been switched to Kay, what was that conversation like?
Well, she wasn't overjoyed about it. And she's like, well, Kay has the money now. But she also believed that Kay was a zombie as well. So she just believed that they were all.
Wait, what? So this is a discussion about the life insurance policy after he's been unalived. I didn't realize that. I need to hear this again. I think we need to hear this again. You may not agree, but you're going to hear it again anyway.
Ever taught you about Charles's insurance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did she say?
She said that he had, I think, about $1 million, and that she knew when he passed away that she thought she'd get the money.
So she talked about how when Charles dies, I'm going to get $1 million.
I don't know if she was 100% sure, because she thought maybe possibly it could have been switched from her to Kay.
Oh, she did have premonitions after all. She knew about that life insurance policy being switched to Kay. Oh, Lori, you should have listened to your premonitions and not unalived your husband.
So she wasn't sure if she was really going to get it or not.
But it was something she was thinking about and talking about.
Yeah, she did know about it.
And then when she found out it had been switched to Kay, what was that conversation like?
Well, she wasn't overjoyed about it. And she's like, well, Kay has the money now. But she also.
Well, Kay has the money now. I wonder if she has been plotting the death of Kay ever since then. Like, for real. Like, she has 3 out of 5 of her husbands are dead, and the other one is serving a life sentence in Idaho for murder. So I wonder if she's plotting against Kay at any point. Kay, better get you some good bodyguards.
I believe that Kay was a zombie as well. So she just believed that they were all against her. That was her belief.
Yeah, if Kay was a zombie, then that means she's on the list.
System. As time passed, she's like, I'll get something from you. When a spouse dies, you get Medicare, I think, something like
Some
that.
sort of benefit.
Yeah, and he was a bit older than her, so
she
she knew that she could get something still, so that she wasn't completely left without anything.
That's actually a really good argument for why this trial coming up the end of March, jury selection March 31st, is important. For her being accused of Charles Vallow's murder is kind of important from an ethical standpoint, from a moral standpoint. Unaliving somebody, a murder trial, is important, but it seems like she wants his benefits. Like, if you can't prove that she unalived him, then she gets his death benefits, right? Because they were married at the time. That's kind of what I heard from what Melanie just said right there. Yes, justice for Charles.
of course she wanted his money.
Yeah. They were in Hawaii living off of the kids' Social Security payments.
And she brought that up, that she would get money.
Yeah, because I was like, what are you going to do? How are you going to take, the typical things that you talk about when people pass away? Like, how are you going to provide for yourself?
We heard that she was also getting money as a single mom, money from Tylee and JJ, because JJ had disabilities.
So I know Tylee received money from her father's death. And yeah, I think so. I think JJ did too. I don't remember talking about that too often.
We figured it out, and it was around $6,000 a month, tax-free, that she got between the three.
Yeah, I think she mentioned something like she could get that much amount. Something sounds familiar.
What was your thought when you heard all of this talk about zombies?
I did question it. I mean, all of us did. I mean, I sat and talked to Alex about that a few weeks before he passed away. I'm like, I'm not too sure about this zombie thing.
I still want to know more about Alex, quote unquote, passing away, because it just does not seem coincidental to me. It may be. Maybe he had issues. Maybe he had health issues. And maybe he just passed away of natural causes. But I still want to know more about Alex's passing.
He goes, I 100% believe it.
He said he 100% believed it.
Yes. So Alex really did believe.
Do you think that when he shot Charles, that was in his mind, that
Yeah.
Charles is a zombie,
Yeah.
and I must get rid of him
Yeah, because he really felt to protect his sister. That was his duty.
to protect his sister?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you get up to Rexburg in September, this zombie talk has become normal, or at least you've heard it before.
Correct.
And so let's pick up where we were a minute ago with JJ. She tells you.
He just said zombie talk has become normal. For crying out loud. Like, I was a huge Walking Dead fan for the first 5.5 seasons, and zombie talk, even with Walking Dead, was not quote unquote normal. It wasn't.
Right when you get there, JJ's a zombie.
Salty your back up.
Correct.
And starts to point out things that she believed had zombified him.
Right.
And you're thinking as an out.
This is an interview between a quote unquote credentialed news reporter and somebody integral to a double, triple, quadruple homicide. And he just used the word zombified in this interview. How does that not blow your mind? Zombified. He used the word zombified in this interview. How is your mind not blown?
Outsider what?
I'm looking at him and trying to discern. And it looks normal to me. I couldn't tell. So I was like, there was a lot of doubt there, obviously. I mean, it's hard to believe that completely. I don't ever even believe that Lori completely ever believed it.
You don't?
I think she, like when you want to believe something sometimes and you listen to people tell you, like maybe she was listening to Chad, or maybe because of why it was happening. Sometimes you really want to believe stuff just because you want the outcome as much what you're desiring to have. And so, yeah, I don't know if I think she believed it to a certain level. I'll just say that.
That's the exact same excuse she used for herself. I just believed it to a certain level. I didn't believe it 100%, but you know what, lady? You went along with the brutal unaliving of 2 kids and 2 spouses. So go along with it or don't go along with it to whatever level you think you did or didn't. But I think you got some culpability there. Maybe, just my opinion.
But I don't know. I'm not confident that she 100% believed it.
It sounds to me that Chad was kind of calling the shots.
She would say, he's so much better at getting revelation than me. So I used to get a lot, but I rely upon him a lot more now. So she trusted his because she was not considered a visionary, right? So he would tell her, these people, whoever was around her, these people are doing this, they're doing that, they're dark or they're zombie or whatever. He was the one she would call and ask those questions. She said she wasn't very good at getting the answers.
Do you think Chad told her that JJ had become a zombie?
I think so. Yeah.
So she tells you all these things. You're kind of like, he looks normal to me. Looks like normal JJ.
Yeah.
Did it worry you at all that, oh no, look what happened when Charles became a zombie? Something might happen to him.
That little look off to the side of her eyes right there is telling. What does it tell? I'm not an expert, so I can't tell you what it tells, but it tells something.
Him?
I didn't think she would do that because that's her boy. You know, we had actually.
I didn't think she would do that because that's her boy. JJ was her boy? No. He was a problem child. He was a pain in her butt. You're like, Melanie, are you making stuff up, or were you really not understanding the relationship between Lori and JJ and Lori and Tylee? Like, did you really not understand it?
Talking about this. She goes, well, I need to, you know, it's time for JJ to, I don't know how she worded it, but it was something to the effect, it's time for, he's in the way of our mission. So we need to send him to Kay's house. That was kind of like the idea is what can we do? And so we talked about Kay and we talked about some of her family members that could actually take him on. And so we talked about, you know, what that conversation would be like with Kay. And she wasn't sure if Kay would really receive him. And so we talked about just if.
Wait, she wasn't sure if Kay would receive him? She's questioning Kay right here, Salty. She's questioning Kay.
I know.
I got a problem with that. I got like a big problem with that. No.
Different ideas about, you know, him going there. And so that was the plan that I knew of is he's going to Kay's house. She told me that. I know that from what I saw in one of the video clippings that she.
Okay, well, Kay and what's Kay's husband's name? Larry? Kay and Larry?
Mm-hmm.
They voluntarily took JJ in before Lori and Charles had more or less adopted him. Did they officially adopt him, or was it just kind of like, okay? But Kay and Larry had him before, so
They had like guardianship of him, because he was a sick baby, right? And they were taking care of him until Charles and Lori wanted to adopt him, and they agreed because back then everything was groovy.
right. And I understand when you adopt or take custodianship of a special needs child, you may get in over your head and you may feel overwhelmed and like, I can't do this. But you had outs. You had Kay and Larry to take him back over. Like, you could have been like, you know what? I'm just gonna I can't do
that
this.
would have shown Lori would have had to have shown her weakness, and she would also give up that money she was getting every month for the disability.
And now he's not with us anymore. And that's so,
again, Lori being selfish.
Yeah. And it's so unnecessary and so tragic. Like, you didn't need to do that. You had options. Besides unaliving them and dismembering them.
She also told a neighbor that as well. And so that's what I believe was going to happen to him. So I left thinking that that's where he was going, his case, for sure. I didn't doubt that.
So as her friend, you're saying, okay, he's a zombie. He's in the way of your mission. She said that. So you guys came up with a plan of why don't we let Kay take care of him? Or
he's in the way of your mission. That's a Mormon dog whistle. Your mission. She's claiming she was on a mission and that JJ was in the way of that. Charles was in the way of that. Tylee was in the way of that. Her completing her mission or performing her mission.
Someone in Kay's family.
Yeah.
Had you dealt with Kay before?
I met her briefly, but I didn't interact with her.
Okay.
It was like, hi, how are you? I'm Melanie. That was about it.
So even though Lori had an issue with Kay, she was willing that day at least to say, yeah, we'll send JJ to Kay.
Correct.
You leave Rexburg
That's right.
thinking JJ's going to go to Kay's house.
That's right.
You never saw Tylee the whole weekend
Correct.
because she was at college, allegedly. What happens from there?
This is where there's a big turn in my life. This is when it hits the fan.
This is when it hits the fan. For somebody who is still alive and still, quote unquote, best friends with Lori. But this is when it hits the fan. Let's see how it hits the fan. I haven't seen this before, so this is a raw reaction from me. But that seems pretty significant when she says that.
This is the part that I hate talking about.
Yeah.
This was hard for me. I'm sure I talked to her a few times on the phone. She did express that he went to Kay's house. Okay.
I'm sure I talked to her a few times on the phone. That is not normal interviewee talk.
So I don't know when she told me, but I would say within a short period of time after I left.
She called and said he's at Kay's.
Right. And she said, oh, yeah, we met up in the airport and she received him and he's going to go stay. I mean, she gave me the whole story. So I just, I believed it. And it's about Thanksgiving and everything changed. I thought he was safe. And I get a call from Chad 2 days before Thanksgiving. I still feel emotional about it. I said, Melanie, it's Chad. When the police call, don't pick up the phone. And
sis, it is extremely odd wording. She has used odd wording from her very first interview with the Chandler PD through this interview. She uses extremely odd wording, and I have a problem with it, but I'm not an expert, and I'm not on a jury, and I'm not on a grand jury, so it doesn't matter what I think, but she definitely has some very odd wording with how she's expressing or narrating this story.
my heart just dropped. I was so confused. I'm like, what? He says, yeah, the police are over at Lori's house checking on JJ. And I'm like, JJ's not with Kay? No. My heart dropped deeper. And I just knew something was wrong, but I didn't know. I didn't understand. Like, when you believe your friends are good people, you couldn't believe that they could do something like that.
What was Chad's demeanor like on the phone? Was he stoic? What was he like?
He was very nervous.
He was nervous.
He was very scared. He did not sound himself. Very unsure, very quivery almost. Yeah, it was a hard moment.
So that call comes completely out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Wasn't expecting that at all.
He says, don't pick up the phone when the police call.
Mm-hmm.
He's scared. He's nervous.
Mm-hmm.
He says they're going to call you because they're at Lori's house.
And she's going to tell them that JJ's with you.
She's going to tell the cops that JJ's with you in Arizona.
No, I was in Utah at the time.
You were in Utah.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a bombshell that's just thrown.
I can't even describe how I felt. They put me in a very awkward situation.
Were you able to even question him, or was your mind just?
I was questioning in my mind, but verbally, there was nothing coming out really.
Wait, what? I was questioning in my mind, but verbally, but nothing was coming out really. What kind of sense does that make? We got to go back and hear that again.
He's nervous.
Mm-hmm.
He says they're going to call you because they're at Lori's house.
And she's going to tell them that JJ's with you.
She's going to tell the cops that JJ's with you in Arizona.
No, I was in Utah at the time.
You were in Utah.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a bombshell that's just thrown.
I can't even describe how I felt. They put me in a very awkward situation.
Were you able to even?
They put me in a very awkward situation. Okay. All right, lady.
question him, or was your mind just?
I was questioning in my mind, but verbally, there was nothing coming out really. I did say, why? She said, well, Kay is trying to kidnap him. And I said, how do you know that? Well, through emails. You know the emails. I said, I have not read your emails. What do they say? She said, Kay had mentioned, it's not like I'm going to kidnap JJ or anything. And I did think to myself, that doesn't sound like a threat.
How soon after did Lori then call?
I can't recall, but it was soon after.
Soon after. And what does she say?
She sounded like everything was wonderful and great. She had an upbeat voice, and I was like, wow, she's positive. And that maybe it gave me a little hope that, hey, maybe, it's not what I'm thinking the worst.
What did she say?
She said, hey, everything's fine. Everything's okay. And I mean, I can't quote exactly all the things I said. So she led me to believe that everything was fine, and that, that JJ was, I'm trying to remember how she worded it, that she was protecting JJ, something to the fact that they were not just Kay, but it felt like many people were after him. And in December, the early part of December, before the first.
All right. I've had enough of this lady. Salty, have you had enough of Melanie GIbb? you're muted out in Quebec.
Yeah, I've had plenty of no Melanie.
Yeah. I can't. So that's it for this morning for Morning Joe Schmoe.
Right, Dizzy, she's full of shit. And I know Joe's just learning a lot more about the case than some of us, and he's learning the same stuff. And it is crazy, Joe. And when you first take looks at it, it's like, what the hell, and it's a lot to soak in, I'm not shocked by any of it because I've seen all of it. You know what I mean? And I just, that woman is just, I can't with her. I think a lot of us can't with her and her bullshit. Like if your friend calls you up and says, say you have JJ, oh, excuse me? Hell no. I don't care what you're telling me about Kay. What do you mean? These kids are missing and you want me to say, I got this kid? Yeah. No, lady.
Yeah, no. Let's do this one. Can you hear that? I don't even hear anything on that.
No, don't hear anything.
That's all right. You can just admire his cuteness because he's cute and fuzzy. He's asking for dinner. Just so you know, he's asking for dinner. We're going to go get dinner. Oh, Charlie, I miss you, buddy. We'll catch you on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. So, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for Salty for hanging in here with me. I'm still working through some stuff on this. And hopefully, Kresha and I will be live tonight talking more about this case and about her uncle, Charles Vallow, and the crazy LDS connection and LDS adjacent connection to this. So thanks everybody for hanging in there. Have a great Monday and look for more announcements later tonight for a live with me and Kresha.
Have a good day, everybody.